best-selling author Kristen Proby about her steamy new release, Easy for Keeps. It's a Boudreaux novella and part of the 1001 Dark Nights collection. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kristen. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and we've talked with you before about your last 1001 Dark Nights title, so we're so happy that you're back here. And before we begin the questions, I just want you to bring us a little bit up to speed on what your characters are up to in this particular new novella.
Well, it's what are they up to? Well, I mean, it's one of my books, so they're sexy and funny and all of those things. Well, this book is really a standalone within the series, so you can read it without having read any of the others. You will recognize a few of the characters from the previous novels in the series, but if you haven't read it, it won't confuse you. So,
And it's super easy to jump right in.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Now, how did you get involved with 1001 Dark Nights? Can you take us back when you first got together with them?
Absolutely. I got involved because of Elizabeth Berry. She is one of the co-founders of 1001 Dark Nights, and she approached me and asked me to be involved with the project. And at first I turned her down just because I didn't think I had time in my deadline schedule to write additional stories. But when I was in New York, she was in New York at the same time as me, and she asked if we could at least just sit down for a breakfast meeting. And by the end of that meeting, I had confirmed that I would go ahead and move forward with it. It's such a great program to be involved in.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're a busy person, so you were like, gotta think about this for a second. Um,
Sure.
Now, this book, you're back in the Big Easy, correct?
I am.
So, did you used to live in New Orleans? Is it just a favorite city of yours? Do you do like research for your New Orleans stories? Can you tell us a little bit of a background for that?
Absolutely. I've never lived in New Orleans. I've visited quite frequently, especially over the last 2 or 3 years. Um, the first time I visited was in February of 2014, I believe, and I just fell in love with it. I knew I had to set a series in that city. It's just so
Yeah.
rich in color, and I really think New
Music.
Orleans is a character in this series. It is, you couldn't not make it, just bring it to life. It's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the perfect time to go there too because it's not too hot. Like I think when I went, it was in March. I went St. Patrick's Day weekend and they had all these crazy parades going on and it was perfect weather. But if you go like right in the middle of the summer, it's like it's so intense, super steamy.
It's a little sticky.
Um,
Yeah.
Sa- yeah, it's like 3 showers a day, sticky type of thing. Uh, so Sarah, her role as a social worker, how did you kind of come to, having the decision to have her as a social worker? Did you do any research for that type of role? It's kind of a unique role for her to have. I like it.
It is. When I came up with the idea of this story, Sarah was pretty vivid for me. I knew that she would have to be a very special girl to get Adam's attention, at least for
Right.
the long run, because he's very much he just loves women, all of them.
Hmm.
So I knew she had to be very strong and just very special. Um, and she's a single mom. So I thought that bringing that element of being a single mom into her profession, she's a social worker and she works with at-risk women and children.
Hmm.
She's just very passionate about that. There's some things in her background that add to that. And I just knew from the beginning that's what she was going to do. It was very natural. I didn't do a ton of research beforehand. I'm kind of a
Yeah.
research as I write kind of girl, so I'll be in the middle of a chapter and be like, "Oh, I don't know what they would do now," and then I pause and go to Google or make a phone call. So,
Right. The power of Google.
yeah,
Now we have some questions from viewers that I want to just kind of like interject into here because they're awesome. And Kathy
absolutely.
Valentine wants to know, what's the hottest book you ever read?
The hottest book I've ever read. I think it was a Lori Foster book, and it's
Mm,
probably 20 years old by now. I think it was called Never Too Much, I think is the title of that book.
wow.
Um, I, I'm not great with titles, but it was a fantastic, very hot novel. Yeah, Lori writes
Oh, nice.
some good hot stuff.
She does. We've had her on here for her like her boxing, her MMA fighting lead men. Like those are the super sexy new novels that she's doing. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
she's great.
Susan wants to know what is one of your favorite lines from Easy for Keeps? Are there any lines that stick with you?
Um,
Good
this
question.
is embarrassing. It's been a while since I wrote the book. There are some scenes that are some of my favorites, and I can remember some of the elements from those, of course. One of them being early on in the book, they're on their first date and they don't want to go home yet, but neither of them really wants to say, I don't want to go home yet. And so they're standing out by his car looking at the stars. And finally, she's like, just take me back to your house. Yeah, that was a fun scene to write. Yeah. All of us wish we could be that bold.
Yeah, right. I love it. Now, this is a novella, so that's different from like a full-length novel that you would normally work on. It's probably a novella, it's like 100 pages or less, I think.
I
So
think
how do
it's
you
just over
approach
100
writing
pages.
a no Yeah. How do you approach writing a novella as compared to a full-length novel? Was it difficult to kind of, start that process?
Well, it is. You know that you're going to have to speed things along a little bit faster than a normal novel, and at the same time, not jeopardizing storyline and making it feel like it's, insta love or it's unrealistic. Although this is fiction, let's be honest, so a little bit of insta love is okay. Um,
Right.
but certainly in the way that I construct the story is definitely very different from how I construct a full length novel.
Yeah. And I was looking at your Twitter, which I love. Do you have a daily word count goal when you're writing every day? I did notice some word counts. Hashtag am
Absolutely.
writing.
Yeah, especially as I get closer to a deadline.
Mhm.
It really just depends on how much I have left to write in the book and how close that deadline is. So, how many words do I have to write today? But my normal goal is 3,500 words a day. That's that's about a chapter length. So,
Yeah, that is
pretty good.
not a small feat.
Yeah,
And so you reward yourself for hitting your word count, right? Because I saw that too. That is smart. I'm
I do.
on
Little
board with
rewards
that.
are good. My biggest rewards come from on release days. If there is a
Yeah.
listing involved with a release of a book, that usually gets a reward.
Yeah.
But yeah, even little things like I hit my word count, so I get a glass of wine or just something.
I
Dangle the
love it.
carrot.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Now, does Sarah sport any great handbags in this story? Does she have any handbags or shoes?
Handbags. Actually, I found Sarah to be a little bit. She she has some body issues.
Mhm.
She's got curves. She's kind of a normal
Mhm.
girl, and so she's always worried about what she's wearing and if it's showing too much skin or how
Yeah.
she's a little uncomfortable in clothing. She's not much of a fashionista, but she's still, I mean, she's a single mom, so how
Right.
you can't really have a
Doesn't have
large
time.
designer bag arsenal on
No,
hand when you're a single
doesn't
mom.
have time for handbags or shoes.
Not really.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Now we have another question from Susan, and she says, "Was the title of this novella always Easy for Keeps, or did it go through some other names?" I'm sure it's hard to come up with a title.
Um, that was the name of this novel, and it was really driven by Adam because he's not a for keeps kind of guy, and
Right.
until he meets Sarah, so it just again it felt really natural to title the book that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just went to RT, right?
I did.
I love that. How was your experience?
RT is always a crazy place. It was fun. It's always great to see the readers and my colleagues, and
Mhm.
it's a crazy week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it's exhausting. Rewarding yet exhausting.
Exhausting, yeah.
Is there any? Yeah, totally. It's a lot of networking, It's like it can be kind of draining, but it's definitely, sounds fun.
Sure.
Anything else that you're doing in the near future? Signings, conferences, anything fun?
I do have several signings still this year. Next month, I will be in London, actually Birmingham, England, for
Oh,
the Four
lovely.
Brits Book Festival. I
Mhm.
forget the exact date of that. It's the second weekend in June. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm very excited for that. My guy and I are going over. We're going to spend actually close to 2 weeks in Europe, and
Oh, that's
it's a working
perfect.
vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then in September, I'll be in Denver signing, and in
Very, very cool.
October, I will be in New Orleans.
Oh, wonderful. And
All of the
where are
dates
you
are always
currently?
available on my website.
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever write about your hometown? Like, is that something that you like to do, or do you always kind of do something totally different from what you know?
Actually, I write about what I know a lot.
Yeah.
When I wrote the Seattle series, I was living in Seattle,
Hmm.
and the Love Under the Big Sky series takes place in a fictional town in northwest Montana, but it is pretty much the town that I grew up in. I just
Hmm.
named it a different name.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I enjoy it. I'll probably set books there again in the future.
Um, Sajira just asked, "What is your favorite thing about Adam?" Nice question.
Adam, what I love about Adam is in the beginning, is such a he's so steadfast in his belief that he is just never going to settle down. And he makes no
Hmm.
apologies for that. That's just who he is.
Hmm.
But what I love is not only does he fall in love with Sara, but he falls in love with her little girl. And
Yeah.
he's such a softie for both of them, much to his surprise as well. And it was just such a joy to watch the change in his belief system about himself and just his whole attitude. It was a fun story.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there any favorite traits of Sarah and her daughter that you really like to focus on?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
Sure. Are there any traits of Sarah and her daughter that you really like to focus on? I know that you like to write like humorous stuff and like always fun characters. So what do you think were your favorites about the two girls?
Oh, sure. They're really cute together, actually. And the little girl, when she first meets Adam, she tells him that her name is
Hmm.
Belle, and she's wearing a Beauty and the Beast Belle dress, and she's lost. She's trying to find her mom. So she says her name is Belle, and when they call out, "Can Belle's mom please come to the front desk and claim your daughter?"
That's adorable.
Nobody ever comes because her name is not Belle.
Hmm.
So that was funny. She's just a typical little 5-year-old.
Right.
Yeah, and also a couple of times at dinner, she would mention her boyfriend, and Adam about swallows his tongue. What do you mean your boyfriend? There's some really fun little interactions with her.
Adorable. Now, when it comes to, kind of role play with Adam and Sarah, like who do you see playing them in a movie or a TV show? Do you ever have an idea of an actor and an actress?
For Adam, from the beginning, I reference Henry Cavill, because I think he plays every leading man I write. He's just a good-looking guy, right?
Let's
Um,
be honest.
let's just be honest. There's that. And I don't know. The character. I'm actually asked this question a lot, pretty much every time I release a book.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Uh, the answer is usually they live in my head.
Right.
Casting them or giving references to actors or models is really difficult for me because they are just unique people in my head. I would even say for Adam, a good person for him would be actually Ryan Reynolds because Ryan has the lighter hair. Um,
Yeah.
but still the built, they're always kind of built,
Yep.
kind of,
Both
you know,
alphas.
yeah.
Now, have you read any of the other books in A Thousand One Dark Nights? Do you have any favorites from the group?
I have, and I try. I mean, look at the lineup of authors. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible. I wish I had time to read more. Laura Kay always is fun to read, and Sharice Sinclair. Um,
Mhm.
Laura Lynn Page just released last month or earlier this month a really great novella in her fixed series. Um, the stories are all sexy and different. Everybody brings something different, which is one of the things I love about it.
Mhm. And when it comes to like actually sitting down to write your next book, what kind of rituals do you have like favorite writing snacks? Do you need something next to you when you're writing? Like how do you kind of get in the mood to start
I do have
besides
rituals.
bonuses?
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's see. I always listen to Pandora. It's usually the pink station for me. Uh,
I like it.
I need that fun beat. It's just a rhythm I get into while I write.
Yep,
What else?
totally.
I like to chew on candy. That's not good, but I like to chew. So usually I'll
Yeah.
have like Swedish fish or
Oh my god, my
something like that on
favorite.
hand. Aren't they
Hmm.
delicious? Pretty soon the bag is gone and the chapter's not
Oh yeah,
done, so that's not
they're
good.
so good. You have to
Um,
eat them quickly. They get too hard, so you have to
that's
just like
right.
eat the whole bag.
Right,
That's what
exactly.
to do. What TV shows are you like currently obsessed with that you just love to binge on?
Um, so I love what I call trashy TV, and I don't mean that to offend anybody. It's just my own, it's just what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I love anything on TLC that's like Say Yes to the Dress, or I
Nice.
love that show actually. And I also really enjoy like the one I just started watching it the other night, Single Dad, something where these single guys
Oh,
are
no
looking
shit.
for love from their
Oh,
dad. Kind of cute.
sweet.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. Also, John and I have been watching Game of Thrones. We love that show.
Yep.
The Voice, I always try to
Super.
catch The Voice because it's Adam Levine and he's my boyfriend. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And model your next cover guy on him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I loved the Odyssey bar in this book. Is that based on a real place? Is it kind of just from your imagination?
It's fiction. It's all fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I really want to go there. I wish it was real.
me too. I absolutely do. Now, we have a couple more viewer questions, which is always great. I love these coming in.
Great.
Jocelyn said, is Kate O'Shaughnessy related to Reese O'Shaughnessy, the baseball player who appeared in Forever with Me? Jocelyn has her details down.
Yes, they
Okay.
are related. They are cousins, but they were raised more as siblings. Yeah, it's actually explained in the first book in Easy Love what their relationship is, and then it's carried over into Easy Charm, which is Reese's book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She remembers. Now, how do you keep, do you have a lot, you have a lot of recurring characters. Do you have a way that you keep them kind of straight in your head? I know
All
some
in my head.
authors put like,
I
make
really
like a
wish I had a
scrapbook.
Bible.
Yeah.
I do. I need a filing system, but everybody knows who knows me knows I'm not good at filing anything. So,
It's a lot of work.
yeah, it
We were talking, we were talking to an author and she said that I forgot who it was. She said one of her fans created like a Bible of all of her titles for her and sent it to her, which is insane.
that's incredible because that
Something
had to have taken
awesome.
hundreds of hours. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, someone out there watching, please send Kristen. A book
Send me a
Bible.
Bible. It tells me everything that I've done so far. I do have to, when I go back to writing, see, I write two series at the same time. I'm writing
Yeah.
Fusion and Boudreaux at the same time. And so I do have to go back and reread usually the last book in the series to see,
Yeah.
just to remind myself what people look like and what their little quirks are and
Folklore.
such.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if they wore jeans or dresses or I know. Too funny.
exactly.
Um, do you have any characters for your next titles that are in your head that are dying to like come back for something new? Like past characters or just won't stop talking to you? Because I know that's
Out of
like an
past
author
books?
writer thing. Yeah, do you have anyone that you know will come back eventually that you kind of haven't revisited? Anyone talking in your mind?
No, not usually.
No?
Once I've written their story and I've moved on to something new, they're
Mhm.
finished. They will
Yeah.
they will make appearances in the coming books, all in the same because
Totally.
I write a family saga, so they show up. But no, their stories are complete and they're happy. We're just gonna let them be happy. I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, totally. I understand. Now, what's your top summer reads for this coming summer? Are there anything out there that you can't wait to get your hands on to read?
Oh, I can't wait to see Me Before You.
You see what? I couldn't hear you.
Me Before You. Um,
Oh yeah,
I can't wait. I will have to take a whole box of tissues, but I can't wait for
the to be read pile. That's the one on top.
it.
Um,
Yes.
Su- now Susan asks, do you watch any shows like paranormal shows like Vampire Diaries?
Oh, I love the Vampire Diaries. Yeah. I usually binge watch those because once I get
Yeah.
started, I just can't stop. So I just wait for the whole series to come or the whole season to end. And then, because also
Hmm.
inevitably, I'm not good at remembering when shows are on. So I
Yeah.
forget to catch it. And a lot of times I'm writing into the evenings. So it's just best if I can binge it later. But yeah, I love some paranormal stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and there may be some paranormal things happening in the Boudreaux series coming up.
Awesome. That would be
Yeah,
amazing. And it's the perfect location for that, right? Um,
absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how you could not.
yeah. Jocelyn has a question. She says, how would you describe your books to someone who has never read any of them? What do you think makes them unique?
I write contemporary romance with
Mhm.
a lot of sexy elements. Um,
Right.
my guys are always pretty protective, very alpha, but also, there's some funny elements and
Hmm.
tender places in the books too. So that's how I would describe them.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what are you working on next? Can you tell us like every little thing that you have kind of in the hopper
Um,
for your
I'm
books?
working on Easy Kisses right now. It's coming out in June. Uh,
Hmm.
Close to releases in August. That's the second in the Fusion series. Um, After that, I'll release at least one more Boudreaux book before the year is out, but I don't have a release date set yet.
Hmm.
Um, I think for the next year, it's going to be these two series until they're completed, and then I'll move on
Yeah.
to something new.
Hmm. Do you have a set number of books that you're doing, or you just kind of do it until it feels like it's finished?
I always know how many books is going to be in each series. So Boudreaux will be 6, and Fusion will be 5. But I
Awesome.
know that when I sit down and map out the series and what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Super exciting. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us. It's been a great time, and everyone needs to go out and check out Easy for Keeps. And thank you to
Thank you.
everybody for stopping by for these awesome questions. And have a great time.
Thanks,
Take care,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye. Night.